Year of the Mecha is back with a very brief respite from all the 3D games before pretty much the rest of the year is all 3D from here on out. 2D is dead. That's Coolguy. He's back.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? It's just the way you phrased it was amusing to me.
I mean, for a lot of people, especially those that were short-sighted, they basically were like 2D. Why would you ever want to go back to that? Don't pay
I
attention to
mean,
Symphony of the Night. What are you, crazy?
yeah, exactly. Even well, fortunately, the indie scene in the modern era has shown us a lot of the amazingly cool stuff that the 2D art can handle
Mm-hmm.
with proper horsepower thrown behind it. But yeah, like during the 32-bit era, the Saturn, the PlayStation, and the N64, like if it wasn't 3D, it wasn't shit.
Yeah. And it's because of that, considering that this is Sega during the Saturn era, yeah, no way in hell were you gonna get like any more 2D games or RPGs after a certain point. Thanks,
Yeah,
Bernie.
even this one was like basically special dispensation
Yeah.
because it's like you were telling me before the stream. This one's basically a continuation of an older Genesis
Yeah.
franchise, right?
Yeah, Genesis and Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
It was a weird thing how it started. Like the thing I always have to like remind myself actively is that this is part of the Assault Suit series, but everyone knows these names more for their subtitles, which is either Leynos or Valken.
Right.
And in this
Where they're
case, this is the sequel to the Genesis game that I briefly had considered having be the headlining game to start off Year of the Mecha before deciding, no, this is too primitive and hard to the point that I can't like think of enough material to get out of it for like an hour plus stream. So that's why I went with Valken instead. But it's all right because at least as far as I know, like chronologically in the series universe, despite being the second Leynos game, it is still a prequel to that one. So it's not like we're missing anything.
right, rock and roll. I never played this one. Like I'm familiar with Vulcan, and I'm familiar with Leynos one, but
Mm-hmm.
I've never played this one because, boy, I definitely never had a Saturn.
Yeah, yeah, and like even most people that had a Saturn didn't have this game, and it's so, like this is one of those like Japanese only games for the system that you would think like on the surface obviously is like, oh, this solidifies more and more why if you ever wanted like a Saturn collection in the past, you would have just gone like a Japanese system and Japanese copies because like it had way more life over there than it did anywhere else in the world. But even like digging through the Japanese side of the internet, it's very hard to find like a lot of concrete info about this game. Like I think even compared to like the previous games, like the original Leynos or even Valken, just like they're just not as many people that like latched onto it over there compared to like what was on 16-bit systems. Just kind of a shame
Right.
because I think for my money, at least at this point in time, you know, this game came out in 1997, and, you know, there weren't really much the way of, like, anyone making 2D mecha games anymore, but I'd say this was the most mechanically advanced that a mecha game in this style ever got.
Right.
There's a
Right.
lot to it as in terms of, like the machine handling combined with, like, it makes use of absolutely every goddamn input on the Sega Saturn controller. Still seeing CGI in the menu. Yeah, well, like, it's not being rendered in real time, so, like, it's still 2D.
They're trying really damn hard to pretend like they're 3D to get past the content sensors for Sega.
Yeah. Well, Sega Japan probably didn't care as much. They were like, this thing's selling well enough over here. We don't know what the fuck those American assholes are doing, and we don't care. And then it's
Give
any
us money.
surprise that they stopped making consoles after the Dreamcast.
Yeah, I still appreciate the entire meme of oh no, I'm so sad about how I lost the console war, and now I'm making all of this money just making video games.
Yeah.
And friggin' Sony and Nintendo are just over there trying to make something next gen that won't completely frickin' flop. They're just looking really tired while Sega rakes in money from like Total War, which they would have never had any chance of doing if they were still in the console business.
Mm-hmm. So as you can probably tell just by like the menu alone, this is obviously for like selecting which save file to start on, but rather than doing a new game, I am going to start with this file, which was from like a completed playthrough in what I would call a attempt to unlock everything. Because behind the scenes stuff with this game, it is fucking hard. Like, I would say, like, in the tradition of, like, what the Assault Suit series was about. Obviously not as, like shallow and hard in the way that Leynos 1 was. But this has, like, some stupid-ass requirements for, like, and, like, restrictions on, like, what you can unlock, because this game follows, I'd say, like, a kind of a similar pattern to, like, a lot of old school, like, arcade shoot-em-ups, where it's like if you got to the end of Gradius, as an example, you beat the boss, you would automatically get sent into the second run, where everything was harder, and basically at that point the game was like, all right, try and get as far as you can.
Yep, and some of the secrets of those. Like, I'm just imagining like the old Ghosts and Ghouls thing, where if you got hit even once, like good luck unlocking your favorite. Or like the true ending or whatever it was.
Yeah, but in the case of this game, it's like, yeah, you do have a second run, which is what we are technically going into. You're gonna be seeing like a lot more missiles and explosions on screen than you would if you were to start on a fresh playthrough. But the problem is, and why I called this an almost like perfect, complete, 100% complete like save file, is because as soon as you enter the second run, you are locked out of being able to unlock anything else. So
yeah, I definitely see Mr. 8 is not there.
Yep, because somehow, despite all my best effort, I kept ending up like just short on the total score by the end of the final stage, which would have unlocked the final unit, which, based on everything I've been able to dig up about it and read on, it probably sounds like the most broken, overpowered thing in the world. So maybe it's fine that we have, like, 7 for now. Because we got, like, Valken? Yes, you were correct, Hasio. Like, the Valken itself. Like a touched-up version of the sprite for, like, the mecha you played as on the Super Nintendo game is in this game. So that's like a nice little touch. Got 3 different versions of Leynos. EX, which is what you start with. The Leynos 2 proper. The Alpha variant. And then all these other extra ones like Gulliver, Zyrek, Phantoma.
Gulliver just suddenly changes the aesthetic from Chonky Boy to H.R. Geiger, and I'm incredibly
Let's at least start with, like, the EX. Now, here's what I was talking about as well. Oh, some Gundam name scheming. Yeah, kinda. It does channel a bit of that. But this is also, like, what I was talking about, where I described this game as, like, for the time, being the most mechanically complex 2D mecha game conceived.
Holy mother, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got, like these different, these 3 bars, like, at the bottom that we can, like, invest points into for, like, mobile, weapon, and repair. Repair refers to, like, an auto repair function that our mecha has. And, like, so that means, like, if you take even negligible damage, it's, like, you'll actually still be able to, like, recharge it over time. It's just that it drains from a regular energy meter, as it were. Like an energy supply. Weapon is for, it affects, like, your weapon handling, accuracy, power, all that stuff. And mobile is basically, like, it refers to weight limits. So in most cases, you kind of want to get this maxed out as much as you can if you want to carry some of the good stuff. And we have
maximum load.
a whole lot of weapons to choose from.
Holy mother!
Yeah, and like at this first page, these first 10, they are all the machine gun class weapons.
Yeah, no, like you're basically dropping me into frickin' Earth Siege over here with all of the variants of individual weapons.
Yeah, like machine guns, Gatling guns, shotguns, all of these weapons, of course, being like CG renders that they then like compressed and like created like GIF animations essentially that play when you select them.
Ghost trick 'em.
Yep, got some sniper rifles as well, missiles. And then like these here are these are plasma rifles. Like you could tell like for stuff that has solid ammunition, there's naturally like, they have numbers as far as like how much they hold in a magazine.
Your ammo magazine, right?
But the blue bars are like, these are energy weapons, including like these big fuck off laser weapons.
Good lord.
Like some of these especially are like unlocks, and for good reason. So many marginally different guns. True, but then you also have stuff like napalm, which are just, well, like, I'd say it's more accurate to just call them flamethrowers because that's how like the projectiles behave. It's not like lobbing globs of like napalm or anything. It's just a solid stream of fire.
I was gonna say like screw for frickin' Earth Siege. Now we're talking scorched earth.
Yeah. And then there's like all kinds of like other extra weapons, some defensive options like shields. We could even like assign different punches if we want. And then there's some like this S-Cobra, which is actually exclusive to specific units. It's just only in the list just for like completion's sake. That said, because I think of what I messed around with prior to starting this, I'm gonna stick with this loadout because like this still lets me deploy without going over the weight limit. Because the idea is, you see maximum load, and then a few lines below that is left, and you want to make sure that that number next to left is above 0 at any point.
It strikes me that you could probably. Oh no, wait, never mind. You've still got other stuff to do.
Yeah,
I was gonna say because that left is rather high.
Yeah, well, that's just because like if I wanted to equip any more fuck off powerful weapons, it would have exceeded the limit immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a war crime if it's against machines. True, but that's assuming that all the machines are AI piloted, and like we're going by mecha anime rules. They clearly do not abide by that.
I mean, the Geneva Convention seems to go directly out the window anytime mecha are involved. So the answer is don't think about it.
Yeah, but devices.
I mean that's true.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But like devices right here are essentially like modifiers or extensions to like the base stats of your chosen mecha. Like EPAC, as you see, like the plus 200 means I get an additional 200 points to like my energy tank, and like mobile EX and armor level EX like kind of add to like those stats, which like with mobile EX in particular, it raises the cap of the mobile bar under like the power. So without that, I probably would not. I would be having a lot less to work with on that front.
Hey.
Yeah, and then lastly, like you have like an armor screen where you can choose what type of armor material you want this to be. And from there, you can also further tune this.
I fucking love those like completely impenetrable graphs.
Yeah.
A, B, and C, and then they don't even have one axis level of labeled.
Yeah, it's
like just defense performance. The hell does that mean? And what is this other axis? Fuck if I know, dude.
Yeah, A, B, and C, like the assumption is based on the colors of what we know as far as, when we looked at the energy and napalm weapons. It's like that probably correlates to I basically interpret it as like going from A to B to C is like ballistic to energy to explosion. Stuff that has like a thermal property to it.
if you need a user's manual for interpreting your graphs, they're probably bad graphs. It's what the design of everyday things taught me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for fuck's sake, just look at this graph. Like, what are all these lines doing?
No. Oh, whoa. Oh, okay. So the y-axis is on level, whatever the hell that means. So like the effectiveness of A actually isn't like will go down at level like 19. Yeah, it goes from level 18 to 19. It the effectiveness of A actually goes down. Sure, why not?
Yeah,
I don't
it's
understand.
like a wild card as far as like depending on how much tuning performance you have to work with. It'll be like everything does not go up in a straight exponential line. It's like each level has its own trade-offs. It is
utterly
so absurd.
fantastic.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll just keep it maxed out for the hell of it.
Somebody cared a lot about all of that stuff, though precisely why I'm still unclear.
Yeah, someone cared about this a lot, which will probably explain why, like, as far as like level design and set piece ideas, it's I would say like the only drawback I have for this game compared to something like Valken is that it's not nearly as memorable in the stuff that they throw at you across its 7 levels. But we'll see that eventually. Let's start mission and hope to God that like this doesn't crash, because that's the other thing about this game that we're streaming, like the behind the scenes stuff related to it. Okay, good. I hear the music, so that means we're continuing.
Hey.
Anyway, one extra thing I actually forgot to mention regarding the weapons and like what affects like what you choose to equip. They have different ranges, and based on the range, the camera will zoom in or out to determine to basically show like what the maximum lock-on range for it is. So we get a very, very wide view compared to if we were using starting weapons. We also have like roller dashes that we can enable by like tapping R, and it basically happens automatically. Oh god! Oh fuck! I was not paying attention.
Like you were standing directly in that flamethrower for a very long time.
So many things to explain.
The overall aesthetic and just like oppressive action of this game. Like if anybody frickin' remembers Nick Arcade, like that one ridiculous game show back in the early '90s.
Also, I think it just crashed. God damn it!
Amazing. Yeah. Well, I mean, like freaking gives me a chance to talk about Nick Arcade, I guess, because
do so as I put this up.
that freaking show was outrageous. Like they would absolutely take like the most stressful arcade cabinets they could find and just throw like friggin' 10-year-old kids at the cabinets for challenges on there. It's just like you have to get X number of points in 45 seconds. And the poor kids clearly had no idea how to play this frickin' game. They had no time to familiarize themselves. And like 9 times out of 10, something exactly like what just happened would happen. Like they would get in there and just get absolutely destroyed in the first like 20 seconds because they clearly had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. Hasio saying blow on the disc. Correction, blow on the SD card. I don't think it's not really an issue with the SD card. I think it's just a weird problem with like my ODE, because like when I was doing like my runs of this weeks ago to try and unlock everything, I ran into this issue a lot. This game, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was like an issue with how it's programmed or like tying like specific processes to like the load times it expected from running on a disc as opposed to like an optical drive emulator. But like what you saw happen whenever like it fades to black, like that, it always like has a chance to just like crash like that and not load the next thing. It doesn't happen to me like on any of the other games I have played on my Saturn like through this device.
No, that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like a lot of games around this era were dealing with storage and system trade-off problems, and the old pointer systems that you used for 16-bit consoles weren't cutting it anymore.
Yeah.
So they they had to devise entirely new pointer systems, but they were slow to come.
Oh yeah.
Like they didn't really end up being reliable until the Dreamcast era.
Yeah. Anyway, as you saw with the LG 10,000, that is clearly the weapon I use when I am like, I am no longer taking any chances on this shit. And for the record, as powerful as this is, like, the more powerful lasers out there, like, when you get to, like, 9,000 level and whatnot, they have an absurdly wide beam. It is hilarious. It knows you want to show off.
And the mobility. Yeah, the mobility you have in this game is pretty great.
Yeah, like roller dashes, you get jump as well as like boosters, which unfortunately I've overheated on because I'm not paying as much attention naturally with.
You also have a war crime tank right in front of you. Like...
Yeah, shooting down like transport crafts like directly out of the air as well. Yeah, let's just run forward so we can trigger the boss while we're here.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not kidding as well when like this is the New Game Plus run as it were, and it is way harder than it would have been if I started normally because there are those two letters and a number like in the bottom left of the HUD. GL6. GL is the game level. 6 is the maximum. We are basically on the equivalent of God Hand's level die. Anyway, if you thought like those things we were shooting down were like fairly detailed sprites, but approximately the same size as us, oh boy, look at this!
Now we Contra now.
Yeah, Contra, Metal Slug, whatever you want to fucking call it. This thing is so massive, it is causing frame rate drops. I fucking love it. Anyway, well, let's just torch this thing with like a hot laser.
I was gonna say, I'm like, this thing needs to get cut in half.
Come on. Yeah, and like I'm also like putting out like a shield on occasion just for
safety. I'm like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, you're doing a pretty good job of intercepting incoming fire with that.
Yeah.
Which I'm also getting a load of how the repair stuff works, which is actually pretty brilliant from a game design perspective. Since with as much stuff going around, it's pretty much impossible for you to not get hit. The real question in this game instead is, how often are you getting hit that you can. There you go.
Yeah.
You can recover from what you're getting slammed with.
Fairly often you're able to recover, and the thing is that with the shield that we have, like, a solid front-facing shield is not the end of, like, the defensive options you can equip. Like, you straight up get, like, energy barrier-type shields later on.
Right.
And those are actually pretty vital for trying to get you to, like, take as little to no damage as possible. Because, I mean, like, no damage is possible. And you'll kind of see even more as I break down, like, the insane scoring system that we get for our mission results.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cracked out right there.
Yeah, like...
The hell is the bonus all about?
Bonus, I believe... Well, bonus and penalty, I want to say it is related to... Well, no, enemy points would be like for like enemies you do kill. I think it's arcane. All I really know is that the penalty is usually that incurs based on like a number of factors. It could be like if an enemy like enters the screen, but it flies by too quickly and you don't engage it, because that basically acts like, I guess, cowardice. And then there's then like another factor that detracts, I think, even more points is if any of your allies get killed.
Oh, so yeah.
And I think by the end of it, because I was rushing towards the boss, like, the penalties kind of shot up a bit afterwards. How many team members survived? I forget.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah,
Like,
but clear time and technical point, as you can see, is that they take like the minutes and seconds, convert it into like I think like a total number of like seconds, and then like they take the full mission score, divided by the seconds taken to beat it, and then that's like your technical points, which then factors into this second screen. And what I was talking about in that you are locked out of being able to unlock new things, because those boxes next to the numbers for like enemy point, damage points, clear time, etc., those would be filled in either blue or red. And if I got all of them blue on a fresh run, that meant I would have unlocked all of the available weapons, devices, and armors that were available to unlock in that mission. So
the technical point is also really obtuse. Like I can't see weird numbers without trying to figure out how they calculate. It's just there's clearly a whole bunch of numbers we're not being shown.
Yeah. Also, you could retry the mission if you want, like if you realize that the result you got wasn't what you wanted, especially if you're trying to unlock everything. So it's like, that's nice. But otherwise, this game is designed to be like a ball buster to anyone like me that prefers to like complete games as much as possible, like dig deep into every last drop.
This is clearly here for a deep time, not a long time.
Yeah, which makes sense because there's only 7 levels, and a total playthrough goes for, I'd say, about as long as any of the previous Assault Suit games. Like, this was very much adhering to the style of a previous generation when all other game devs were, like, investing in different technologies and design styles. 12th Special Force formed of Assault Suits.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. I should mention as well, like, the, as far as story for this game, is this Spider-Man? No, it is not. Sorry, B-Man. But, what little I do know about the story, because, like, obviously I mentioned before, this game doesn't have... Could it be Spider-Man, though? No, definitely not.
I'm not seeing enough skyscrapers.
Nah, yeah. Plus, like, there's nothing in this game that is, like, an equivalent to, I would say, like, a grappling hook, that we could use for Spidey swinging or anything, so I'm gonna say no. Yeah, Haseo, it doesn't have a grapple gun, unfortunately. I think with all the crazy systems that this game has, I think that was just one step too far outside of their scope. Anyway, we're gonna go with the Alpha Leynos, and we are such big chaps that we're only taking the Laser 90,000 for this.
Holy mother! Yeah. And this is gonna be interesting. Like we all saw how much ass the laser kicked in the last freaking level.
Yeah.
Like now this one's like 9x.
It drains the energy meter like a bitch though, so I got to be very sparing with it.
Nope.
Did it work?
Nope.
Fuck.
Thinking it might have crashed.
Fucking goddamn shit.
Yep. This like I was saying, just everybody was trying. I was trying to figure out how to make individual systems glue together in the modern world, and this was very much a time of transition for it.
Yeah.
Like nowadays programmers don't even think about it. Like you can link kind of an arbitrary number of libraries, and the compiler just handles everything really smoothly.
Yeah.
But back in this time, typically you just sort of pointed your code toward a single memory address. And said, "Hey, this is what is where it's supposed to be," which is totally fine as long as you're on native hardware and everything is addressed 100% properly. You try to start emulating that, and God only knows how the memory management worked. Well, then you start having problems like this one.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of get it. the developers of this game and the Assault Suit series, it wasn't an especially big group. Like they forget BDSM, try ASM. God damn.
I mean, ASM will definitely hurt more. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah. Any kind of programming hurts me deeply because it's a sort of thing where I wish I was good enough to do it so that I could like make it as sort of like reasonable like prototypes for game ideas I have, but like my brain is just not wired to like handle like code and just like the writing and interpreting it like properly.
The way I've always told it to people is that if you pass if you pass second year algebra in high school, you definitely have all of the symbolic knowledge you need to be a programmer. And if you pass first year algebra, you still probably can do it. You know, like people overstate how much math you need, and I think you probably crashed again there, buddy.
Yeah.
People overstate how much math you need to be a programmer. The biggest thing is honestly the way I phrase it to people is just focus, because there are going to be days where you are grinding on a single problem for 3 to 4 hours, easy. Like it's that is common of game programming, of shell programming, of web programming, of any kind of programming.
Yeah,
You're going to be grinding on a single problem for 4+ hours, and if that is enough to drive you to a certain kind of psychosis, then yes, programming is probably not for you.
yeah.
And the reality of the situation is that's at least a good half of the population.
Yeah, well, I think for me, like, kind of like what made me sort of realize that, like, I just...
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I'm sorry, Haseo just referenced click and play, which that was one of the original like RPG Maker style things, where you paid these complete douche nozzles like $100 or whatever for a license up front, and then it was a very highly scripted thing that wasn't extensible at all. The only thing that was that you could say click and play did well was its tutorials were absolutely amazing. So yes, I'm freaking tracking you on that one, Haseo.
I think I'm just gonna try switch it to like a different unit.
Yeah, a different unit.
Maybe like this works better. I don't know, but the kind of what I was saying as far as like I think what I kind of like. Ended up kind of narrowing down as like what my hang up with was with like me just like being terrible on like the programming side of things and like not sticking with it is like I kind of looking at it from like the same perspective I do as far as like why I've not retained or like a lot of stuff about like learning foreign languages, where I think it's the sort of thing where like if I'm told to like kind of the like basically kind of like what the rules of like a language are and like kind of like you know, like what sort of like tenses, nouns, verbs, etc. would like be used. It is like I can get a grasp on that and like kind of and articulate, okay, this is how it differs from like just speaking in English like I do for like everything else in life. But it's like if it's the moment where I'm asked to take those rules and make something original for myself, that's where my brain completely freezes up.
Everybody does that with unless you have the privilege of being bilingual growing up, when you know like basically that period before about 8 years old, where the linguistic center of your brain is just absolutely lit up and is never as bright as it will be for the rest of your existence.
Yeah.
Everybody runs into that, and one of the best pieces of advice I got from somebody He's a gentleman who's been a world traveler since he was a teenager. So like circumnavigated the globe in a research in like a 200-foot research vessel twice.
Mm.
Butcher the language but communicate, and like once you start doing that, all you have to worry about is getting your point across, and that's it. It's done. Don't give a crap. Don't give a crap how much of a jerk you sound like. You get your point across, then you can like the first time, then you can get it across again. You get it across a third time, and that's just how you become fluent. And and what he meant about stuff like that was just like, use pantomime, use your hands, of like don't be afraid of just flatly saying I don't know the word for this in Spanish or French or German or whatever, but just like pretend like you're two, but be earnest about it. People generally give you a lot of slack.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's just like the obviously with the like the foreign language learning comparison is because most I ever learned about that stuff was like when I took courses in school, and it eventually always they kind of hit the point where it was like my brain stopped kind of learning the theory as far as how to use it in a more practical sense, and instead was just more about learning what steps I need to take just to make sure I answer the questions correctly and get a passing grade.
But like the formal language learning is great. It absolutely has its place. But like it it's hard to argue that a lot of it goes out the window when you start just talking to somebody about it, and then it comes back into play the more you use it formally, right?
Yeah.
Like with Japanese and Spanish, like I have a lot of formal language learning with Japanese, which makes me really quite useless when reading something in a real time situation like this. Like I get like the script is coming up. I'm getting words here and there, but I'm nowhere near smooth, practiced, and fast enough to get any real meaning out of this. But with Spanish, or rather, but if you asked me to look at like a document and interpret it, I could absolutely do that because I know enough formal language theory to get through it eventually. With Spanish, I'm completely the opposite. Like you throw me down in Puerto Rico, like I'm gonna sound like a complete lunatic, but I'll be fine. But if you give me a document written in Spanish, I'm useless.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because I definitely recall learning two languages in high school. One was kind of mandated on me, and the other was a choice. Naturally, the one that was by choice was Japanese, and just because of kind of focusing on just learning it as far as how to pass the class and not really having any other situations outside of it to practice and become more fluent with it, it just fell to the wayside real fast.
I studied Japanese because all of my guidance counselors were like, "Well, your major is in computer science. Like the most useful programming or the most useful natural language you can learn to go along with that is going to be Japanese." And that was a complete lie. That was an absolute 100% lie. I should have learned Spanish. Like if I could do it all over again, I would absolutely dump all of my formal Japanese learning to just do Spanish.
Yeah. Also, I want to say at least during that final encounter, with all the insane... Wait, why is there no music playing?
Yeah.
This is probably gonna... Huh.
Look.
Oh, god damn it. I'm not hearing you as well. Fuck.
No, I'm not. I'm I heard you.
What? Okay. This is the exact same goddamn problem that happened with Millennium last week. Oh, well, hold on. Let me re-add. Jesus. I hear you both. Well, hold on. I cannot believe the exact same problem happened again when I did Gundam Side Story. What the fuck, OBS? Also, that said, though, it's... Now, cool. Now he's quiet. Okay, hold on.
Exactly what I was talking about. Butcher the language, but communicate. That's what this SPU is doing. Is butchering all of its cues, but damn it, it's not trying to communicate.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. There. Okay. Yeah.
God bless you, SPU.
Same problem. Required the same solution. I had to go into like my audio output sources, manually remove the programs it was supposed to output the audio for, and then re-add it so it would recognize the fucking thing.
Amazing.
You know, I'm pissed that like
amazing.
We're just gonna do this next mission using one of the late game fuck off powerful units.
We only heard the end of your rant. Well, not, rest assured, it wasn't that important. Request I'll repeat it, but it wasn't that important.
Yeah, but well, at least like the thing that I was getting into, like with the encounter at the end of that mission, is that there are so many goddamn missiles that you could probably say this is as much a Votom's homage as it is also a Macross.
Yeah.
That was a fucking Itano circus happening on screen.
I appreciated that your overall solution to it was just to go to the laser and just 360 that bad boy.
Spend the laser, switch to the machine gun when I needed to recharge, rinse, repeat. But at least with this one, we got some interesting tools to work with, hold on, I'm gonna try, because I got like the shotgun there, I want to try maybe like switching it out for napalm if it's possible, or no, I can't equip those. Shoot. Oh well, I'll try my best as is. Because this next mission is actually a very particular one, because this is not like an official military mission or anything that our characters are going on, which are part of the 12 Special Armored Squad. Instead, we're going into a fucking robot arena.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
this is R&R, I guess.
This is not a sneaking mission. No, just
sir.
Yeah. Everything's about this, like, to kind of get back to like how I will always keep bringing up like Votom's references. We're straight up going to the battling arena from like the Voodoo chapter of the whole saga.
Amazing. Like the platforms here are just straight out joust too.
Gundam fight all set. Ready? Go!
Go! Right, get fucked, nerd! Holy shit!
I didn't even need to use the S-Cobra, which is basically this game's answer to like fin funnels or orbitals from a Gundam series. Glaive looks like a generic mecha anyway. Yeah. All right. So hopefully this is powerful enough that we'll be able to get through like all of the enemies that it sends our way. Because on a New Game Plus run, they actually add one more at the end, which is kind of amusing. But otherwise, if you run out of health points during any of these fights, instead of acting as like a game over, it's more like you get disqualified because you lost the match, and that's basically the end of your involvement, and you go on to the next mission. But you don't get a mission results screen because you didn't get to the end of it, so you miss out on a lot of points and unlocks if you're doing a first run.
Right, but it's ultimately kind of a bonus stage.
Yeah, and like it's because of that. This is honestly like the most interesting level of the entire game, and it's just a single room arena. And with this particular foe that we're facing, yeah, why not? Here's the S Cobra in action. We don't need to manually hit the buttons or anything.
Whoa.
Chalmer the Otaku. Yeah. That one's an asshole, though, on a first playthrough, because he specifically has, like, radar jamming, so your auto-targeting does not work. Like, and when that happens, you have to press L to switch to manual aiming, and the aiming starts to behave more like it did in Valken or Leynos Original, where pressing up or down is something you had to do to manually adjust, like, your vertical aim. All right. He's quoting statistics. Are you... Oh, wow, Hasio, are you actually, like, for real, like, translating this stuff on the fly for us, or are you just making shit up? Because either way, it works.
I mean, yeah, I could probably read it if you gave me time, but like every single kanji that comes through here just stumps me because I have no kanji recollection at all.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly skip it because
all
it's
right,
like,
game over.
Yeah, I've mostly been skipping it just because, like, you know, I can't find any like full translated material about the story in this game. And after I got so many more details wrong about the Blue Destiny than I assumed I was getting wrong during that stream, I was like, yeah, I should probably just stop. I still can't believe, looking back on Blue Destiny, just like the shit that I got wrong. Even though I had a synopsis from like the Gundam fan wiki open the entire time.
Yeah, well, I was just talking with a bunch of friends about one of my favorite childhood series yesterday that I've read. I spent like all sorts of hours on. I got all sorts of details wrong, trying to quote the most famous book in the series. I'm talking about the Redwall series, just to be clear.
Right? Yeah, I recall seeing discussion of that. Like,
like in the first book that Brian Jakes ever wrote. Holy shit! He just tore through you like a sheep.
Yeah, this is what I was worried about, because like the way that I've always dealt with that dude is that like I just immediately deploy the napalm and just create like a screen of fire that like that like stops all of his projectiles. So, whoops,
special bonus, dude.
No, he's not the bonus. There's actually like there's one more after him, and then after the person after that is the bonus opponent.
Okay.
But like the opponent that you fight afterwards is she basically has like laser weapons, so it leads to this sort of like back and forth you engage in, where you have to like try and hit her as she's on the move, but very rhythmically she'll switch to like a volley of like 4 laser rifle shots. And it's during that time where like if you have something like the energy shield equipped, you got to remember to switch to that and turn it on so that you completely nullify her laser attacks completely.
Gotcha.
And then after that is I forget exactly what like the name of like the bonus opponent is, Aki-Man or something, but he's like a weird goofball who basically does the super robot tradition of calling out his attack names. It's charming. Again, I was wrong. I guess you do still get a mission results screen. It's just you don't get any bonus because you didn't make it to the end.
Yeah, you didn't complete.
Ice Bunny was just in front of my eyes. Okay. And also, it looks like the network stabilized again after a point, lost a whole lot of frames on the Twitch stream. But that's okay.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's all right. It's why I have, like, local, like, recordings of all these streams I do. All right. Oh, yeah. Hi, Cyborg. Hi. Didn't see you there. Again, I keep I keep freaking out whenever I look back at the Twitch chat box that I have like as a extra dock in OBS, because it's been having this issue of like freezing on me. So I have no, and I look at that first before I look at the version that's displayed on the stream overlay. So like I'm always like unsure. It's like, are people not talking? And then I look, it's like, oh wait, no, it just froze up. People are still talking. The scuff that you have to deal with.
Twitch.txt, brother.
Mm-hmm. Now, this mission coming up, there may not be a lot of, like, info that I can find about this game overall, but if there's one consistent thing I've been able to find, is that everyone hates this mission. Yeah. I'm gonna switch to, like, the Phantoma, because I've never used it before, and I'm going to, can I? Yes, I can equip Napalm. My name's in the length color as Hasius. That's right. Yeah, yeah. That is true. It's like if you're used to identifying Twitch users by color of like their usernames, it becomes, yeah, that could be a bit tricky. Let's see, what else do I want to equip? Oh yeah, we'll put the screen right here. All right.
It's the lo-fi bop of the music in this loadout screen is just like, it's speaking of things that are charming. That's been charming the hell out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time. There we go. Get maximum load on their 9,900 points to work with.
Device, like
max out repair and get as much out of weapon as possible.
Extra weapon bay. Yowza. Yeah, they really did give a crap about all of this, huh?
Yeah. Even I still don't know off the top of my head what every single one of these options does. But
Most of them are
I respect,
relatively self-explanatory, thank God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I got like napalm weapons are so good that like sometimes it's practical enough to like just carry two of the same type. But yeah, I want enemy de-analyzer, which I mean like that's more handy as far as like giving you like a glimpse of like how much health like enemies have when you're locked onto them.
And also, you know, like making you more confident because you're confident because you know that their dicks are smaller than yours. Like, I'm sorry,
I was wondering like what interpretation of the letter D you were gonna go with, but I shouldn't be surprised.
The frickin' game threw that one straight across the plate. I would have considered it an insult not to take a swing.
All right. Actually, I'm gonna give maybe like a. Okay, that's good enough. I got like 20 points left over, and I'm just one level below the max for Dynamium HG. So, like, I think that's good enough. Got a Gatling gun, 2 napalm weapons, energy shield. Yeah, we're good to go. Fingers crossed. Don't crash.
Yeah. It's totally crashed.
Nope.
No, never mind.
Okay, I think this actually is feeding back into like a theory I've had for a while where like I think it's more likely to crash on like the earlier game missions of all things.
I mean, I can see how that would be possible. I'm not 100% sure if that's real, but
yeah. Regardless, this is an escort mission. This is why everyone hates it. We have to escort a convoy to the end of this canyon.
Oh, your convoy.
Okay. So With how slow this one feels, this almost might be a bad idea, but I wanted to try, like, the Phantoma. Yeah, this was a bad idea. They already caught up. Well, I don't know. We'll try as best as we can. If we still game over on this one, I'll switch back to, like, the Gallivor or something like that and just hope for the best. Laser everything.
You gotta. This is a friggin' assault unit. In what universe does it make that makes sense to put an assault unit on nanny detail?
Because they didn't have that many ideas for interesting missions when they were making this.
Whatever.
They spent way too much time and money on just all the insane, like, systems and whatnot. That's the only explanation. It kind of gets back as well to, like, what we talked about with Gun Griffin, where I feel like
Jesus, Mary, God Almighty.
Yeah, this is a very heavy unit. Like, it's not surprising I'm getting, like, so little speed out of it.
I'm not commenting on that. I'm commenting on how the convoy has absolutely no interest in stopping. Like when there are like 3 massive walls of meat in front of them.
Well, we fucked up. I know.
All right, that's it.
Yeah, we're switching back.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's why everyone hates it. It's like, you gotta get a very specific, like, unit and loadout, and, like, the ideal loadout is something that someone playing this game for the first time may not even be able to get access to because they don't score well enough on the previous missions.
Yeah, like, and all of the normal problems with an escort mission are absolutely amplified by just ridiculous behavior on the part of your on the part of your convoy.
Yeah, and it's because it's the sort of thing where, like if you tune everything, like, correctly as far as, like, your unit when going into this mission, you can cut straight ahead of the convoy really quickly, and that lets you there we go. Yeah, this unit is so much faster. So because this is how you make the escort more manageable, and that is cutting off way ahead of the convoy itself, and then just, like, create an impassable wall for as many of the enemies that are coming, because you don't because for the majority of the mission, you don't get a lot of enemies that try and sneak up from behind you. It's always in front. Oh god, I forgot that's the other thing that's making it very tricky, is that, like, my laser is technically still hitting the convoy.
It's ridiculous. Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's absurd. You're just escorting some fuel, man. Yeah, like, tell that to them, though. There we go. Now then. I swear to god, if this makes this version of the level, like, the biggest cakewalk ever, I don't know what I'm gonna feel.
I mean,
I don't know, but
smugness because you conquered the problem without struggling with it for 4 hours. Like, that's how I'd feel.
Yeah, but it feels weird considering that this is on, like, the second run of the game, where, like, the dynamic game level is set to the hardest it can go.
And like,
all right, that's
you already said, like they don't have that many ideas for terribly interesting mission types. Like, all you're doing is punching the clock here, dude.
Yeah, like, we might as well be mercenaries in this situation, because, like, just what little I've been able to dig up, which is to say, I read it in, like, a Japanese YouTube video, like, description that was, like, doing a playthrough of this game, basically said that, like, the idea, I think, behind, like, the 12th Special Armored Squadron is that they are essentially soldiers who are kind of like, they're basically put together in a group to handle the dirty missions that no one else wants. I don't know if that means they were technically war criminals and this is their rehabilitation, a la Cyber City Oedo, or if they just volunteered for it regardless because they're like, they just got bigger balls than everyone else.
Yeah, like there's always multiple interpretations of that. Like if you want to go to Star Wars, Rogue Squadron is like the most comparable thing there.
Okay. Here it comes. The final wave. They said that there were 6 enemies coming, but that's technically like a lie. There's only 4. Oh, wow.
Is it? Oh my god, are you fucking joking?
You know, fine. I'll accept this as being like a nice bit of catharsis, but with like how often I'll like play all kinds of like hard games on my own time, like action stuff and whatnot, can't help but like feel the loss of like some kind of decent challenge. Whatever.
Yeah, like that was not 6, that was not 4, that was 2. All right, whatever, it's fine.
2 on screen, 2 off, but because of just the laser essentially going way past what the screen is able to show, it still hit them. Look at that total mission score and the fact that it's going to nothing useful because the game won't let me unlock the final suit I'm missing. Whatever. We got like 3 more missions, and this is the part where we now go into space.
Space!
At the time of 1997, the one place still yet uncorrupted by capitalism.
God. Like that. I remember one of the one of the funniest quotes I got from one of my friends. I can't even remember when I heard this. Was you can judge a person by where they know Tim Curry from, and a lot of people know Tim Curry from that Command and Conquer video, and I judge them to be fine human beings.
I mean, the 3 places I most know Tim Curry for are that, the Muppets Treasure Island.
Yeah. Another good one.
This one, I'd say, is a more unfortunate one because it's not a very good movie, but the Addams Family reunion, because he played Gomez in that. And that's probably the only good... That one. That was the only good decision of that because, you're never going to have anyone as good as Raul Julia or even John Aston as far as Gomez, but Tim Curry's... Tim Curry was fucking all.
Yeah, he does a great job. The problem is that Addams Family reunion sort of missed the point of the Addams Family.
Yeah,
they got everything fundamentally correct, but the end of the day, the joke of the Addams Family is that they do everything heavy air quotes wrong, but they are so happy happy with their family and so joyful You have to end up looking at yourself and wondering, am I in fact out of touch? And then a lot of people end up saying no, it is the Addams who are wrong, and you laugh just as hard at them as you do at Principal Skinner.
Yeah, best husband-wife relationship ever. Yeah, it
dude,
is the model that everyone should strive for.
Get you a partner that will treat you like Gomez and or Morticia as your preference suits you. You'll be happy. That's the key to 90% of life happiness.
Yeah, and what you were describing with missing the point of the Addams Family, the joke behind it is why the movie, the actual movies, the Addams Family and Addams Family Values are great, but it's the sort of thing where I think about what the plots of those movies are, and it totally is the sort of thing where I could see how it led to something like the Addams Family reunion making the mistake it does.
Yeah.
Because the original movie and Values do deal with the fact that it's the Addams Family are weirdos who do everything wrong, but they're also being pitted, by nature of, kind of how film plots are, they're pitted against an antagonist who is de facto worse than they are. It just happens to work better as far as being, representative of the kind of, societal normative psychos, as it were.
Yeah, toxic normativity is you can see a lot of that in the original series that thankfully are on YouTube for free. Like one of the funniest things is when like Gomez goes out and he's almost explicitly trying to fail, and then he just fails at failing, and makes everyone around him really fucking mad. Because society is the straight man to Gomez Adams's just success and incredible and having fun all the fucking time.
Yeah, capital idea.
Yeah, capital idea, old bean. I could.
That show is so good. It's the sort of thing where it's like, I'll always like agree with people when they're like, Raul Julia gave it his all. It was like the best Gomez. Yes, but I feel like you shouldn't be too focused on that you ignore the fact that John Astin was like just as formative for like making that character likable as he was for like an earlier generation.
Yeah, and it's also kind of why I don't like the new Wednesday cartoon on Netflix, or not cartoon,
a live
series
action,
on Netflix.
Yeah. And I think I know why, because I remember like another streamer I watched like months ago who had like who similarly was not into the concept of that thing. Isn't Gomez also fucking loaded? I mean, they have money to spare just on their on living their happy lives that are the complete opposite of what society expects.
Yeah, like Gomez and Morticia are always quite wealthy, and you know, like there's one particular episode in the original series where Gomez like almost actively goes out to fail just because he's going to do something that he wants to do, rather than something he knows will succeed or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know and everybody expects him to fail because it's basically a passion project. Mm-hmm. It turns out that he ends up doing a great job because he had intuited something that everybody wanted, but nobody else could see. Like he succeeds for a good reason, because like it's not just because he's super lucky. He actually intuited something that was not non-obvious, but also it's fucking hilarious. He almost set out to fail, and he failed at failing.
Yeah, like that is definitely like an all-time classic for me, on the same level as the one with like the beatnik who like stays with them for the weekend because he's like had a falling out with his dad, and just doing like it's the sort of thing where like in any sort of like sitcom is like, yeah, like the majority of the time you're expecting to see like either good people or horrible people like get into comedic horrible situations and or like at their expense or whatever. But you always have to have those moments that show that the people that you are watching on screen for all these seasons are still human beings. And that's the one that sticks out to me as like fitting that, because of just how it highlights, yes, no matter how weird the Adams are, their customs and whatever seeming completely wrong and almost like dangerous, they still care and like treat you as a guest like they would to any of their family members.
It's one of the most immortal ways to talk about the Addams Family, simply because like the coolest thing about having Gomez as a neighbor would basically be like, if you had a problem and you went to him with it, the way he would respond is he would toss you a rapier and basically say, all right, on guard, and he'd take you through a fencing lesson, make you scared within an inch of your life because like, as far as you know, the rapier is sharp.
Yeah.
And then after you've had this fencing lesson, and you've divorced yourself from the emotional context that you came in there, and you're ready to listen. He would give you incredibly practical advice that you could actually follow, and it's just like, oh crap, you actually had a method to your madness this whole time. It was just really weird. And the Beatnik episode is perfect on that one, because he's already dealing with somebody society considers a cast off.
Yeah.
So like the Beatnik is already ready to listen.
Mm-hmm. And even like how it ends with like the dad coming back and realizing like actually having the question you described, where it was like, am I out of touch? Am I the one that's wrong? And like leads to finally the two of them making up.
Yep.
A good Adam's Family discussion during a very simple space mission that is extremely horizontal.
Yeah, that was like, I'm just gonna say it. That was honestly one of the most generic fucking space missions I've ever seen in my life. Everything's coming at you from all angles. You blow it all up, and then there's a mothership. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I don't necessarily feel the need to talk about the game while it's going on.
Yeah, I mean, just the bigger thing is where it's like, you move the screen left or right, but you have like next to nothing as far as like moving it vertically. Which doesn't do, like, which I think that kind of kneecaps, like, the sense of, like, selling the fact that you're in an actual space battle. If you can't really give you the sense that you're making use of, like, the full 3D space of, like, flying around in zero gravity.
It was also basically just a fight in the vacuum. Like the one of the things that you run into, and one of the foils to the auto aim that the game gives you, is just all of the terrain that's around. Like, so you have to use your motion, not just like to get around the terrain. There's no terrain to get around it. There were no asteroids. There were no micrometeorites. There was no other ships. Nothing that you weren't supposed to shoot. Just avoid the bullet hell and shoot the mans.
Yeah. And it's like, I've got no problem with like games where there's a lot of shooting, but the primary aiming is through lock-on, because I genuinely do feel like that's that's an avenue of game design that is perfectly valid, because when you don't have to require your players to invest so much like thought and dexterity into like the manual aiming of things, like in, say, a PC first-person shooter, you can take the time to like invest more in like mechanics and game feel to better emphasize and get into the space of like high mobility.
The question is always, what is the primary experience that you want to give to your player, and what do you really want to focus on? Because you can only do a couple of things before it starts just getting weird. Yeah. And excuse me, this game cares very deeply about mobility, about range, and about basically about keeping distance and so forth.
Yeah, and very valid customization to
and a shit ton of customizing.
Yeah,
using the right tool for the job. All extremely valid things, and I think they're correct to largely deprecate the fine points of aiming. You've got plenty of other things that you're working on.
Yeah. Yeah. That said, though, as mentioned before, with all like that effort put into the game systems and the priorities of how it was meant to be played, it obviously like kind of outstripped the time that could have been spent as well, like on levels. Because you can look back all the way to like the first stream I did for this series when I covered like Valken on the Super Nintendo. You know, like those levels are bombastic and have like identifiable, memorable things about them that, well, like a good chunk of them obviously have to do with, you know, you shooting things in a giant robot, but there's obviously like you attacking like a space colony and having to like basically like boost down through like tunnels that are firing missiles, so you have to like weave out of the way to make sure that you don't get like run over by them in the process or things like that. And this is where everything is just way more about like open space and just like focusing on the raw combat, but there's not as much as far as like really strong level design to like elevate it further beyond just showing that the mechanics work and are good.
Yeah, the distinction that comes to my mind here is the original Cannon Fodder game. If you played that, that was very much a game with relatively simple mechanics that everybody were used in very different ways. But they had the time to screw around with different level concepts, and boy, they got super hard at the end of things.
Yeah, that's it though. For like this space mission, even though it starts the same as the last one, we are going to be approaching like an indoor area, and like we effectively have like 3 different like entrance levels that we can like choose to go into. That'll have like different arrangements of enemies. Yeah, we'll try the high road. Why not? And it's like once you get in here, like gravity actually kicks in, and you're
now this is more like a traditional level that you've had up to this point.
Yeah. We're still fast and overpowered as fuck, but that's just so we can make sure that we like beat this game in a timely manner.
Man, like the way they present allies to you in this game, this is the primary thing that I think could use some work, because you have been absolutely just taking tons of pot shots at random allies that are inexplicably in front of you. And like I don't blame you. Frequently you stop shooting at them, and it takes me another half second to realize why.
Yeah, because I have a laser cooldown to worry about.
Well, and also it's just like you've intuitively recognized that you're not like just right there. You already intuitively realized why are you not vaporizing that chump? Is because he's a friendly, and I'm just like
yeah. Anyway, time for another boss. I should mention that, like, this boss, who I guess is our true antagonist, like, that profile, if you remember back, he is the one from the arena.
Isn't that the dude who destroyed you in the arena?
Yep.
Alright, cool.
He's an asshole. I'm just waiting for him to get back on screen. There he is.
He's just, coffee break. He hadn't a Starbucks for frappuccino or some crap. Like, what's going on here?
It's so stupid. Oh well. So we're using guys. In the future, friendly fire isn't a problem. Well, if that was the case, why could we still damage our own fucking convoy?
Yeah, like that was problematic. That was as problematic as a white boot on Twitter.
Anyway, the way this mission ends is also different from normal, but like not quite the same way as it is with like, where the arena tournament, where it was like whether you won or failed, it counted as like the end. We don't get a mission results screen when we finish mission 6, at least not on the first playthrough. I don't know if that changes for like New Game Plus runs, but the idea is that like it immediately dumps you into the next mission, which is all focused on a boss battle with this giant monster. Oh, Bato joined the enemy. Oh yeah, he kind of did look like him.
There's a lot of Ghost in the Shell-esque sort of art going on here.
Plenty of 90s anime art styles. Alright. That's kind of like an awkward phase where it's like you're locked out of controlling your assault suit, so you're just left standing there as like the big boss slowly lowers itself off screen. Listen, it's probably the best they could have done.
Super had an entire like 5 or 7 minute period where people were just yelling at Android 17 because he interrupted one of the other universe's like transformation cycles, and they're just like, you can't fucking do that, dude. Yeah. Like, everybody knows the score here.
Yeah. Okay, it does show you the screen for like mission results, but I think it's the sort of where I want to say it's still going to do the thing of it pushes us forward immediately into mission 7, because the whole point is that like we're not returning to base or anything. It's like that dude is out there with like a mecha that is 10 times bigger than us, and it needs to die. all in all, this is still like a fun game, even if I still have like equal amount of memories from just this game busting my balls trying to unlock absolutely everything and having to give up on that prospect.
Yeah, like the biggest complaint that I've got is just that you've got all of these tools that they give you, only seven missions to do it. Like there's not enough time.
Yeah,
There's not enough content in this game to actually use all of the stuff that you've that you're presented. You know, like Streets of Rogue is a good modern example, I think, wherein like Streets of Rogue is an absolutely fantastic game. Like I'm not messing with it at all. I've got over 80 hours in it, like utterly fantastic. However, you know, like precisely because it only has 5 different environments, like jillions of items and like dozens of people, like it's really difficult to justify using a good 2/3 of the content simply because you have so few things to use it in.
Yeah. So that's it. We just aimed our laser like in just the right angle that we were able to hit like the center of it, even though it was locked onto like another part of the unit, the QZ, I believe it's called, because Hasio's still doing
It was
definitely
called the QZ.
Yeah.
No, like I haven't been bothering to say anything because I understand things only infrequently. But your mission briefing was absolutely chase the QZ. Mm-hmm. It will have a huge impact if it gets away.
Yeah. Yeah, and now we're getting to like the credits, because obviously that was the final mission. That was it.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, what are you talking about? Where like they have like all these insane mechanics and like depth to like the control, customization, combat of like piloting an assault suit, but like just going with like the same old like 7 mission style structure that they went with for the first for Valken, and I assume as well with the original Leynos, because I never got all the way through it, is like, yeah, that made enough sense back in those games when like, you know, the amount of tools you had to work with were a lot simpler, but but like what you got here as far as like weapons, armor types, etc., it's like this would almost be more beneficial for like an Armored Core style game, you know? Something where you have like a lot more bite-sized missions to work with, where the customization could actually get a lot more get pushed a lot more by creating scenarios where you're like, okay, this requires a different mindset, a different set of tools. Let's see what I have to work with.
Yeah, this is exactly the sort of game that if you published it on Steam today and you release it with a level editor, you hook it into Steam Workshop, you're going to be evergreen. You're going to be evergreen relevant.
Yeah.
To like years and years of people wanting to screw with it. Like if you had just given people this much content and you give them, you know, like probably more than 7, but you know, like enough of a cross section to show what these levels can do, you know, you would absolutely be an incredibly relevant game for years to come.
The 90s, when programmers went by single word names. Yeah,
mononyms are still a thing among particularly self-absorbed programmers today. I'm here to tell you.
I mean, if I ever like made a game and had to put my name in the credits, I'd probably still stick with like my internet name or some shortened version of it than the real one, just for anonymity's sake.
Yeah, if folks sometimes want to do that, like honestly, with how I've been doing Endless Dark, like I've just, if somebody contributes, I give them a contract and everything,
Yeah.
so they know the score or whatever. But I literally just write down in there how they want to be credited. It ended up coming up when one of my contributing writers said, "By the way, I'm trans and I prefer not to be credited with my legal name because that's my dead name." I'm like, okay, that's totally legit. I'm gonna unfortunately have to insist that you sign the contract in your legal name because I can't like the contract doesn't mean anything otherwise. But
Right.
we'll put down there right in your compensation. This is how you want to be credited, so you can insist on it if I screw it up. And because it was written down, I didn't screw it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, Lilac and Orange Hasio pointing out like the obvious English typos in the credits.
Yeah,
It is what it is.
it's okay. Well, but like it's only marginally less funny than the immortal Rock On instead of Lock On.
Yeah. There it is.
Hill nothing.
Nothing. No final suit.
Womp.
No G system or Alpha system, whatever it is called, because like the final suit would also have come with its own additional weapons and devices. So that's the part that still gets me. The fact that I came up short because I tracked the numbers the whole way through, and basically your total mission score needs to hit certain thresholds by the time that you reach like the end of certain missions. And the best I was able to deduce is that at the least I would have needed 450k in total mission score by the end of the game in order to unlock the final suit. But I kept ending up somewhere in the range of like 10,000 short. Even though I did very well elsewise. Like I'm backing up my save and replaying the last two missions, trying to like do things as perfectly as possible, but it just was not feasible at that time.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 10k with the numbers that we're playing with stings a lot.
Yeah. But that's Assault Suit Leynos. And naturally, as I was talking about with like the second run style of like setup for this game, because we just finished the final mission, it's just booting us straight to the first mission again.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like you were in a closed time loop.
Yeah.
Never to grow, but never to die.
Yeah, you at least got to see what this game is like when you have maximum missiles on screen.
Those pretty impressive. No, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but and as far as like what you might be wondering with like the Assault Suit series, was there anything else after this? Technically, there was. Much like how this was a sequel to Leynos, there also was a sequel to Assault Suits Valken. It was on the PlayStation 1. It was Japan only, and bizarrely enough, it did not play like any of the previous games because they just turned it into like a front mission style strategy RPG.
Well, I'm not super happy about that because we already have front mission. But also, if you're going to ape something, aping front mission is not bad at all.
Yeah, it's just weird considering, what we have already dove into with this game and its systems, and it being like a huge mechanical leap forward over what they did on 16-bit systems, that it would seem more practical to like keep this like keep the framework that they've established and like expand on like the rest of the package to like make it more worthwhile, especially when like kind of no matter what time it is in history or where you are in the world, you're always going to have people that will like find reason to complain when any game is not X amount of hours long or have X amount of hours in content.
Yeah,
this was a game we got through in like about an hour roughly, or less than. Well, I mean, like stream went for like hour and a half, and that's not counting the times we had to reboot the Saturn,
right?
Because the Fenrir just died.
The reality of the situation is that like commercially it was undoubtedly very difficult to justify to people this is what we want to do. It's exactly the same problem that even somebody like Brian Fargo had bringing bringing Wasteland 2 back. There was just like, you're not like, people don't like, all of the publishers told them people don't pay for isometric CRPGs anymore, right?
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen. And the reality of the situation is that if an IP isn't used about once every 5 years or so, it's very, very difficult to bring it back. Like again, Wasteland 2 is a perfect example. Wasteland was sleeping for longer than a lot of the people who bought it were alive.
Yeah.
Wasteland 1 came out in the 80s. Wasteland 2 came out in something like 2015, something like that.
Yeah.
Like it was seriously like 30 years in between. A ton of 20-year-olds bought it, just basically hearing the hype from people who were way older than them, and like Wasteland had a massive pedigree. Something like this would probably find it much more difficult.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's the sort of thing where, like, in Wasteland's case, it was the post-apocalyptic RPG before Fallout.
Godfather.
And, like,
no
wonder
it was
difficult.
Games.
No wonder it was difficult for them to, like, bring it back after so long, when in, like, the popular consciousness, they're like, we have Fallout. Why would we need this other old thing? But then they make a sequel. And then they make another sequel to that, and it's kind of established itself again, at least in like smaller niches that understand, like, that it has its own value.
Yep. The rise of it of indie publishers, and basically the not publishers, indie developers, and the openness of the PC platform that Steam and GOG and Itch and a couple of other platforms have engendered have been really good, I think, for the overall conversation of, there are good markets and submarkets for a lot of these kinds of quirky games. Like, are they giant games, or are they giant niches that are going to make you $2 billion on a AAA release? No, but that's okay. Like you can have a small team, 5 people, like work on it for a year, cost you $250,000, and you're able to promote it for another 100,000, because there's already a well-established way these people talk to one another. You use that language, and then you'll make $500,000 back. Like, okay, cool. That's $150,000 profit, and that's just in the first month.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. Like you're not going to retire to like billionaire pedophile island on that money. But honestly, if that's your goal, get the fuck out of my hobby to begin with.
Yeah. Anyway, that concludes this week's Year of the Mecha. Obviously a bit of a delayed start due to, just like multiple things that needed to get done, but we at least managed to get this done at some point during this Saturday. Haven't missed a week. And as for next week's Mecha stream, you've probably been waiting and expecting this, considering this is about mecha games, and you're like, when are we going to get to it? Yes, next week is motherfucking Armored Core, the original.
Yeah, great, son.
Yeah, and like it's amusing that I brought up Armored Core earlier as well when talking about like just the amount of customization with this game, and how it's like it probably could have benefited from like a multiple like individual mission structure like Armored Core had, because they kind of had the right idea where it's like, if you're making a system that is like this like in-depth and complex and open to like player customization and choice, like you kind of owe it to yourself to like not really limited to a very short controlled like arcade style like level experience. That one that'll be a fun one. Like I think though I still need to double check and make sure that like my I think I do still have like my save data from like not just that game, but obviously like the rest of the PS1 Armored Core games, because I'll definitely be going into that kind of the same way I did with this, where it's just where like I just have like all the best tools that I want to deal with so that I can fuck around, because I can't, as much as I would like to show off like full complete playthroughs of Armored Core, just kind of show like what like my preferred strategies are for going through the single player of any one of those, starting from nothing and working my way up to better and better parts and weapons. There's just not enough time. I only have time for like there's only one Armored Core game out of like the almost 10, I think it is, or exactly 10 rather, that'll be playing on this series throughout the year, where it is a full playthrough, but that one is pre-recorded because it's for the hardest Armored Core game ever.
No, you're absolutely correct. Like Armored Core is something to be tasted and then gone and experienced yourself. It's a little bit like it was the original FromSoft series, and much like you can watch Dark Souls, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's a fantastically different experience from going in and experiencing Dark Souls, just like drinking in the loneliness, drinking in the struggle, and drinking in all of the victories that you can have in Dark Souls that literally nobody else cares about because it's basically a dead world. Nobody will know your name or your contributions. It's a very specific experience in that way. Armored Core is very much the same way. Like the creative juice behind it is very similar. So yeah. I think that's the correct way to do it. Give people a taste, and then just be like, look, you want to go play it yourself? Here's the way I recommend doing it.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it, because like I said, that there's about like 10 Armored Core games on the list. Those are all the games that like I personally like enjoy playing. I have opinions about certain games that may be liable to cause certain viewers to stop watching entirely.
Womp womp.
But fuck them.
Yep.
What's important is that you'll see me play the very first Armored Core, show what that was like, and also tell you that yes, it is possible to play this just fine. You don't need twin stick controls. Here's my custom like mapping as far as how to do it, because From Software ahead of the curve compared to most Japanese developers then. Hell, even developers now in Japan, where it's like, hey, you have all these buttons, we have all these inputs, remap them to however you like. We don't care. The default's a suggestion.
Yep.
That'll be a good time. So
I
look forward
agree.
to that. Like I think, Nephilim Blackburn will be on for that one. I'll make sure definitely to ping her just to make sure that she's still available for that, since she
definitely
was on
ping
first.
definitely ping my Discord when you do it. I'll be watching.
Yeah. Neff is back? Yeah, she will. Yeah, she's definitely been most curious. Yeah, I know she's been traveling, but like I recall like when I asked her like if there was anything from, this month that she would be up for, she mentioned that like she'd be busy during the first half, and Armored Core seemed to line up with when she would be back and available. But, over a month has passed since then. Doesn't hurt to check. But so that'll be a fun time. I'm so excited just to delve into first gen Armored Core again, and then several months down the line into third gen, and then talk mad shit about fourth gen and just skip it entirely because fuck that shit. Get into fifth gen, which is underappreciated and like derided like unfairly, I would say. And then until From Software sees fit to show us actual gameplay, we are not going to talk about Armored Core 6 or acknowledge its existence whatsoever.
That is the correct thing to do.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years since Verdict Day. There's no telling which direction it'll go. I am not going to go full on the hype train until I have good reason to get my ticket punched.
Damn straight.
All right.
Well, I need to go grab me some food, so I am going to excuse myself. You take good care of yourself, Ark, and thank you very much for having me on again.
My pleasure, absolutely. And thanks again as well, everyone, for being in chat, especially you, Haseo. Even if I wasn't keeping up with every single translation for like the dialogue boxes. It was still appreciated for the extra context. All right. Have a good rest of the day, everyone. Take care.
Game over.